everyone, Jason here with another Nanocoaster video. Today we're going to be doing Goliath from Six Flags over Georgia. Now we all know that Goliath is the most overused name that Six Flags has. This is my third Goliath Nanocoaster, as I already have the Giovanola Hyper from Six Flags Magic Mountain and the RMC from Six Flags Great America. But Goliath at Six Flags over Georgia is a B&M Hyper. This is a coaster that I haven't ridden since 2008. However, it's the coaster that's probably most responsible for me converting from just an amusement park fan to a coaster enthusiast. This was my first B&M Hyper. So this can be purchased from Six Flags over Georgia or from merch.sixflags.com. So it's available from either place. So let's jump in. Now, one of the first things you'll notice with this Nanocoaster is that the base is actually in two pieces. That's because the bases are designed to fit within the box. They have the same size box for every Nanocoaster. Sometimes they scale the coaster down a little bit, but if the scale gets too small, then occasionally they'll create a base that's two pieces. So the first step we want to do is we want to start by peeling off the brown paper here on the base plate. So we'll peel it off of both pieces from both sides. Now that we have the paper peeled off both pieces of the base plate, the first step is actually going to be to attach the two pieces together. You can see that they each have puzzle pieces that just fit right together. So I'll put the first piece down, lay the second piece on top of it, and just press down. The pieces stay together pretty well. So you can see there's our larger base that wouldn't normally fit within the box. It's a little bit flimsy. However, when we add the track to it, it will become a little bit more rigid. And also, if you've seen my other videos, you'll know that I like to add a felt base to the bottom, which is also going to help hold this all together. The other thing that I like to do that's not included with the kit is to add the logo to the base plate. As you've seen, these do come with the logo here on the little tag. For some reason, this one has this Goliath logo, which is a logo used for some of the Goliath rides. However, Goliath at Six Flags over Georgia uses this word mark. Because of that, I've cut out that word mark to place on the base. Fortunately, this coaster has a very large infield that gives us plenty of space to add this logo. I've cut out this logo on my Cricut. This is something you don't have to do, but if it's something you want to do, I'm going to provide the SVG file down in the description below so that you can download the file. If you have access to a vinyl cutter, it allows you to cut out this logo that you can then apply to the base however you would like. So I'm going to put it here in the infield area, press that on, and there you can see we now have a large Goliath logo on the base plate. Once again, that's not included with the kit, but that's something that I like to do just to add a little bit extra. The next step is going to be to remove all of the pieces from the metal. To do that, I got a pair of wire cutters here that I purchased on Amazon. I'm going to go around each of the track pieces and cut them out. When you cut them out, you want to make sure you get as close to the track as possible, as well as to the base. This just allows you to not have any rough edges on this once you start putting it together. So I'm going to just cut these out quickly, and then we'll be back. So there we have all of our pieces cut out. Pretty easy to cut these out, took about 5 minutes. There's only 5 track pieces along with the little Goliath sign and the station. And then we have our instructions here, just a single sheet, one-sided, so not a lot to this coaster. So step 1, like I said, was to put the base together. For step 2, it's gonna have us add this track piece right here. And this track piece is gonna go out here in the outfield, so in the narrower area of the coaster. So we'll start actually with this straight part here, and we'll drop the 2 medium tabs in here first. And then as we get to these single tabs, we'll have to start bending the track as we go around. So we'll bend it just a little bit round, continue around the circle. The nice thing with these Nanocoasters is the full track layout is engraved onto the base, so you don't have to guess the shape. You just follow the engraved track layout on the base and press these tabs down into the openings. The base plate just came apart, so we'll put that back together in a minute. But right now we'll just complete the pieces that are only going to be on this piece and not span it before we put it back together. Now that I have that piece on, we can bend over the tabs underneath and then look at the top and make sure that our shaping is right. Right now this isn't quite as round as I want it to be. So we're gonna just kind of use our fingers here and mold it and shape it to what's engraved down on the base plate until we get it to look about like that. Now step number 3 is gonna continue the turnaround with this piece right here. So you can see we have the long tab on this end, medium tab, and then 3 short tabs. So for the second track piece, I got it a little bit pre-bolted here. And then I'm actually going to start with the bigger and the medium tab that go on the straight section and push those in first. So I'm just going to kind of press these into the base, make sure we get them lined up just how they're supposed to be. And then we'll come to the turnaround and grab each of these single posts. They're a little bit more flexible, so it's easier if you do these ones second. And just line them up and drop them into place as well. Press it down. And then we'll bend over the tabs on the bottom once again, just like you do with every piece. Now once you have this piece in place, you'll see that it's not quite shaped exactly how it's supposed to be. You got kind of a rough angle right there. So once again, after you get this piece on, you're gonna wanna have to go in here and just curve these pieces, just bend them so that they match up a little bit better. Make sure that you're round, it's round just like it should. But yeah, just make sure that you can get the track just as close as possible. They may not match up perfectly, but I feel like we got it pretty good just like that right there. Step 4 is going to require us to put the pieces back together, as it's going to have the first drop with the lift hill as well as the first airtime hill. And so this is going to continue off the piece we just had, but it's also going to bend around onto the other base plate. So to do this, we'll put this up like this. And we'll first match up the first drop. It has a large tab here that we can just kind of put into place. Before that, there's a short tab here right before it. And then at the very end, you'll see one right here as well that we actually have to bend around to before that straight section. So we'll press that one down, have these 2 pressed in as well. And then you'll see here on the base that the track begins to turn to the left. So we'll bend it a little bit, put the next big slot into place, and then curve this around some more to get these last 2 single tabs right there in place as well. And we'll bend over once again the tabs on the bottom here. And so at this point, the base can't come apart anymore because you have the full piece of track that actually spans both of the base plates. Once again, we'll do a little bit of shaping. We actually don't need to do as much on this one here, but we'll do a little bit of bending here so that the track pieces right here will match up a little bit better. And then just kind of look at the base plate and make sure that it looks like it's arching the right way. Now, in addition to just having this piece on the base plate, you'll also notice that there's some angle supports here on the lift hill. These actually need to be bent out towards the back of the base plate for these 3. And then for the ones over here, there's this one in the middle that's really high. That one actually has to be bent in. And then the last one has to be bent out as well, just the same direction as the one on the lift hill. The easiest way to do that is to grab a pair of needle nose pliers here. And then to grab onto the top of the base, or onto the top of the support, and just bend it around. And so we'll do this with all 3 of these ones. And then on this lift hill, we'll grab the first one and we'll bend it in towards us. And then the second one will bend out. So there you can see we have 5 supports now that have been bent out in different directions to help support the coaster. Step 5 is going to use these 3 smaller airtime hills here. And so this piece is actually going to continue off from the first piece that we did, but go in the opposite direction and then come back towards the lift. This one also requires a bend in place, and the bend on this one is going to be within this first hill here. And so I'm actually going to bend it a little bit ahead of time just because it's a super sharp bend, and I feel like this is a piece that you actually do need to bend ahead of time. Not completely, just a little bit. And then we'll put the first tab here in place right next to the first piece that we installed. The second tab is going to be on the turn. And then there's this long tab right here that comes just after the turn. So this is our second piece that spans both plates. And then the last big tab will fit into place here as well. Got that in place, bend over the tabs on the bottom, and once again do a little bit of track shaping. Like I said, if you look at the overhead here, you can see that it may not match up just perfectly there. But that's something that, just a little bit of bending manually after you install each piece, a little bit of sculpting can definitely fix. And then the airtime hills just go straight like that. And that leads us to our last track piece, which is going to be this last little hill into the final brake run. So for this one, we'll continue right where we left off before with this medium tab. As we bend it around the corner, we got a small tab here on the corner that's going to fit into place, and then a large tab for the final brake run. So bend over those tabs. And there you can see the completed track layout for Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia. Pretty simple build. The final step is going to be to add the little sign here that says Goliath into the infield. So we'll put that there, bend the tab on the bottom, just like that, bend the sign back a little bit. And then to also add the station. With each of the Nano coasters, all of the stations are the same. They're all these little house structures. Doesn't matter what the real station looks like. This is what all of your Nano coasters stations are going to look like. We'll bend it to look like a house just like that and drop that into place as well. This one's actually really close to the edge of the base. And we'll bend over the tabs on the bottom. Overall, pretty cool little Nano coaster. A little bit stubborn in a few places, but I really like the look of it. You'll notice the base does still come apart just a little bit, and so we're going to fix that right now. If you've seen my other videos, you know that I like to add a felt bottom to the base of the Nano coaster. Typically it's to prevent it from scratching a surface with all these tabs here on the bottom. However, with these multi-part bases, the other thing it really helps with is holding it together. You could probably also use some glue. That would work just fine as well. But for this one, I'm going to use a piece of felt. So this is Adhesive Felt that I purchased from Amazon. There's a link down in the description. And so I'm going to first position this here onto the felt. Typically, I'm able to get multiple Nano coasters out of a piece of felt. However, with this one, that may not be the case. I'm going to line this up. I may be able to get a small one depending on the size of it. But I'm going to line this up here, grab a pencil, and then trace around the base. Once I've traced out my Nano coaster, I'll grab a pair of scissors and I'll cut inside of the pencil. With this, you want to make the felt just a little bit smaller than the actual base. It does stretch a little bit. So if it hangs over the edge, you can just take a pair of scissors and cut along the edge to get rid of some of the excess felt. However, it's easier if you just have the felt be a little bit smaller than the Nano coaster to begin with. So I'm going to cut just a little bit, 1/8 of an inch or so, inside of the pencil line that we put on here. So there we have our piece of felt cut out. To begin applying this, we'll actually start by peeling off one of the fatter ends of the felt here, just the adhesive backing, and then tear off some of the paper. From there, we can line up the Nano coaster onto the felt, make sure that we get it fully covered, make sure it's not hanging off, looks good. And then we can just simply press down with the felt to begin applying it. Now, once we have that applied to the one end, just like on other ones, we'll peel off the rest of the paper backing here. And then we'll use the table edge to help us apply the felt. This one's going to be a little bit trickier since the coaster does bend and we want to make sure that the track stays together as we do it. So we are going to take this here and we'll just kind of work our way around, kind of in a semicircle. So we'll get it applied to the larger part of the plate first, and then we can kind of rotate it onto the smaller portion of the plate as well. So there we have the felt applied to the bottom. Like I said, that's going to kind of hold it into place. I did get a little bit of overhang here on the edge, just from probably stretching and misalignment. So I'm going to take the scissors and cut that off there. And so there we have the completed Goliath Nano coaster, once again from Six Flags Over Georgia. This is available from the park or from merch.sixflags.com. Really cool model of this B&M Hyper Coaster. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit the thumbs up button down below. If you want to see more Nano coaster videos, make sure you hit subscribe Thanks again for watching and have a great day.